Today, we're going to unpack a real-world business nightmare. And more importantly, we're going to see what it teaches us about the difference between just having a backup and having a real recovery plan. All right, let's just jump right in. Picture this. It's your single busiest, most profitable day of the entire year. And your server dies. Every minute you're down, you're losing thousands. Shipments are piling up. What's your plan? Well, for one company, this wasn't just a fire drill. It actually happened.
So, here's the scene. We're talking about a 75-employee manufacturer, and the day this all went down, it was the final, absolutely cannot-miss shipping day right before Christmas. I mean, the stakes just couldn't get any higher.
And right then, at that absolutely critical moment, everything went dark. A software defect completely took their entire system offline. Production, finance, shipping, all of it, just gone. Now, before we get to what happened next, let's just pause for a second. Let's ask a question that every single business owner really needs to grapple with. What is the real cost of downtime? And, what's really interesting here is how these costs stack up. It's not just the lost sales, right? You're also paying a workforce that can't work, plus whatever it costs to actually fix the problem. Industry data shows this can hit a small or medium business for anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 per hour. For this particular manufacturer, during that peak Christmas rush, even a 4-hour outage was on track to cost them over $20,000. That is a massive, massive blow to the bottom line, especially right at the end of the year. But here's where the story takes a turn. The response didn't start when an employee showed up and panicked. It actually started before anyone on staff even knew there was a crisis. How? An automated alert about a failed backup kicked the whole thing off in the wee hours of the morning. And this timeline just shows you how fast everything moved. It went from that first automated alert to a call with the client, to remote diagnostics, to getting someone on site, and then boom, core systems were back. In less than 3 hours from that initial report, shipping was back up and running. Okay, let's really dive into this, because a crisis of this magnitude on that specific day, that doesn't get solved in 3 hours just by luck. So how in the world did they pull this off? Well, it really boiled down to 2 decisive factors. And these were things that were in place long before that server ever failed. First, having the right technology. And second, maybe even more important, having the right partner. So first, let's talk about the tech. This was not your simple everyday file backup. It was a complete recovery system. Think of it like having 2 different safety nets. They had an exact copy, a full image, of their entire system stored right there locally, which is incredibly fast to restore from. But they also had a second, super secure copy stored off-site in the cloud. This strategy gave them both speed and security, and it meant they could bring everything back online fast, without losing a single byte of data. But look, technology is only half the equation. The second, and you could argue more critical, factor was the partnership. I mean, think about the old way, the break-fix model. Something breaks, you call the stranger, and they spend the first few precious hours just trying to figure out what they're even looking at. Now, compare that to the partnership way. Their IT provider had been managing their system since 2008. That's deep institutional knowledge. It meant they could take decisive action right away without a moment's hesitation. And the result of putting that technology and that partnership together? It was simple. Minimal disruption. Every single one of those Christmas shipments went out the door right on time. That $20,000 disaster completely avoided. And honestly, you can just feel the relief in this text message from the business owner later that night. At 7:30 p.m., all he wrote was, "Thanks again for the quick response today. We were able to make shipments." That says it all, doesn't it? The business was saved, and they kept their promises to their customers. So here's the crucial point in all of this. No system, I don't care if it's brand new out of the box, is 100% immune to failure. Things break. It's really not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when. And that leads us to the single biggest lesson from this entire story. Having an effective, practiced, and ready-to-go recovery plan is infinitely more valuable than chasing some theoretical, impossible-to-achieve 100% uptime. So we'll just leave you with this to think about. What would just 3 hours of downtime cost your business during your busiest season? And more importantly, is your recovery plan, is it truly ready to handle it?